Hello everybody, Dokkan Assets here. Today we are back with another Dragon Ball bi-weekly news video. I know this video is coming out a couple of days after the weekend. I apologize, your boy was kind of busy over the weekend grinding out some gaming with the boys, but for real though, I had a little bit of stuff to do this weekend, so we're getting around to this video now, and I guess I am kind of glad that I ended up like accidentally delaying it, because there's a couple of things that we can cover in this video that came out within the time that this video would have been up that I wouldn't have been able to put in the video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into what we have to take a look at today. As per usual, we're going to start off at dbzfigures.com and then make our way over to Baggy Saiyan's Twitter. So the first thing that we are going to talk about today, which I actually did cover in its own video, by the way, you should definitely check that out here. Of course, it was 2 videos ago, at least at the time of this video's upload. Wait, that doesn't really make sense. It would still be 2 videos ago when this video goes out. Anyway, of course, right, we talked about how they actually lowered the prices for the Dragon Ball Ichiban Kuji figures, which is awesome. All of these being $44.99, except for Ox King, who is $69.99. Which is very, very exciting to see. Since we're on these guys, we'll actually just take a look at the multi-angle images of them. I am very excited for this Ichiban Kuji. Obviously, within the last couple years, we've been getting a lot more Dragon Ball figures, specifically, obviously, Dragon Ball, not Z or, you know, GT, which is really cool because, obviously, I feel like it's been highly underrepresented. I love the detail on the shell there, by the way. So it's nice to see them finally dropping some Dragon Ball related stuff, and not to mention obviously the fact that they lowered the price of this Ichiban Kuji significantly compared to what they have in recent time been selling these for. You guys have seen, as we've covered on this series, obviously they've been charging ridiculous amounts for these normal Ichiban Kujis, so it's really nice to see that obviously, again, right, all of these ones except for Ox King are about 45 bucks, with Ox King being 70. So hopefully they keep lowering the price. I mean, they're gonna have to if people keep not buying them, right? Because obviously they're charging these ridiculous amounts for these, you know, overseas, right, with the Ichiban show version of these, where you're not paying a lottery for it and you're just buying it straight up. And people aren't buying it because obviously the prices have just become so ridiculous. So thankfully, it seems like they are listening and lowering the price. But definitely go check out that video for more detail on that in specific. The next thing that we have to cover is something that I actually did not get to look too much into. So this will be kind of a first time reaction for me as well. But I did see a little bit of information about this. So basically, if you're unaware, Tamashii Nations is going to be, or I guess was technically, because this was, you know, technically 2 weeks ago. Oh no, I'm sorry, this is not 2 weeks ago. This is going to be in April. This was just an announcement that came out then. Okay, phew, I was going to say, that would have been terrible to miss that, because I would have wanted to cover that. But that makes sense, because I was like, Comic-Con doesn't usually happen around this time. Anyhow, with the announcement, because they did obviously talk about how at Comic-Con there's going to be the Tamashii Nations 15th Anniversary World Tour, right? There you can see, right? New York Comic-Con, April 28th to the 30th at Grand Central Terminal. I'm not going to play this little video because that's copyright waiting to happen right there. But the interesting thing that they announced for us Dragon Ball wise, as you can see, there is going to be a exclusive at the convention, Super Saiyan Goku, and he's going to cost 70 bucks. I'll read the rest of this for you, and then I'll kind of give you a little thing about why I'm a little worried about this figure. It looks like the battle damage version from Namek released a few years ago. The quote-unquote Goku Awakening figure, I believe is what they called it back in the day. But this time he has clear hair and aura. There's also a separate stand that you can possibly win or purchase. Not too sure how you get the stand. The body does look similar to an old version, so it's hard to tell if there's any changes made. This is all part of Tamashii Nation's 15th anniversary celebration, and NYC will be the only stop in the US this time. Out of the 5 cities they visit, unless they decide to announce additional dates later on. Hopefully this becomes available on Premium Bandai after the event. So let's take a look at some pictures that we have here. Basically, right, if you are unfamiliar, there is a really, well, I guess it's not really old, but it is one of like the first SH Figuarts figures of Goku in this specific outfit, like we were talking about before. It is called the Goku Awakening figure, right? Let me actually see if I can't pull up a picture of that. We'll go on here and we'll go to my figure collection. Hopefully nothing sus comes up here. Because sometimes on my figure collections homepage, they like to show you some wild shenanigans, but we'll go to Goku Super Saiyan, and then I should be able to find it that way. Right, so here is the new version of it, and this is a really cool website, by the way. You can literally just see every single figure that's ever been made of a character, which is really awesome. Took me a minute to find the page, but here we go. As you can see, this is the original Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan SH Figuarts Goku Super Warrior Awakening version from Bandai. This is the original figure. I'm sure that those of you who have been collecting figures from a long time probably recognize this guy. He was, again, a very early SH Figuarts figure, and obviously a pretty iconic one because, of course, you know, he is the battle damage version of Goku on Namek, right? This figure came out back in 2016, which actually 2015, I'm sorry. There you go. You can see that right there. It looks like there was a re-release in 2016, which should tell you how popular this guy was, and makes sense, obviously, why, you know, we are now getting a new version of him. But if we take a look at this, right, you can see that this figure was $52, give or take. Obviously, this is in yen. Right, because obviously the yen to USD conversion is usually like, if you put the comma of yen over one more place where would be the decimal, right, this would be 52 rather than 5,200 yen. But regarding that, this guy is going to be charged for $70, and he is going to be a convention exclusive. Now, obviously, looking at this guy, right, he looks very similar to the original figure. Of course, the big difference is the coloring is a little bit different on him. It looks like he has a little bit more battle damage, whereas the original version did not have that battle damage, it seems, right? I don't really see any scuff marks on his face or on his body like we have in this version of the figure, right? Nothing on the back, but you can see right on the chest right there. And then if we go back to this picture, you can see on the cheek, right? Obviously, the coloring is a little bit different. It looks like he comes with the same amount of face plates or one more. It's kind of hard to tell from these pictures. The screaming face does look better, though, in my opinion. Like, if we go to this screaming face, I always thought it looked a little bit goofy. And if we go to this one, granted, it's kind of hard to tell because it's not a straight-on angle. But it definitely looks like they re-sculpted the face sculpts a little bit, which is awesome to see. And, of course, I mean, the whole gimmick with the hair being this sort of translucent sort of thing. They did this with SSBKK as well, Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, of course. And that kind of makes sense for that form, I feel like, because obviously, you know, it's got the aura and it's Super Saiyan Blue, whatever. But I like it for this. It's just a little bit like, I don't know, kind of weird. But at the same time, I sort of like it. I mean, it makes sense because it's supposed to be like a convention exclusive. But I will say, my kind of problem with this figure specifically is the fact that they're going to be charging you $70 for a figure that they charged you $52 before. Granted, it does seem like at least he comes with the aura. So I guess at least that kind of makes it a little bit more worth it, right? Because obviously you're getting this little aura back piece with him. However, I think that this original one also did. I'm pretty sure that it came with that, but I'm not positive, so I can't be 100% sure on that, and I don't want to lead you astray. So don't quote me on that fact. However, regardless, right, obviously charging a lot more for the same thing is kind of stinky. And the other thing that I did notice with this guy, right, that does seem to be a little bit worrying to me is if we take a look at the back of his legs, right? I'm sure you guys are pretty familiar with the SH Figuarts 2.0 bodies by this point, right? Where the leg pieces look a lot more fluid in terms of how they kind of connect at the leg, right? To obviously give the figure a lot more of a flush look, despite having all of the gaps in the figure for the posability. However, oh boy, you can literally see the screws on this figure. And it looks the same, to me at least, in terms of the like articulation and the technology in this figure, right? As the 1.0 body of this figure, right? Let's go to that shot of him looking backwards, because I'm pretty sure that that's in here, right? You can see that it is the same sort of dealio going on here, where the back has this weird, like, you can see where the joints kind of mesh together. And I know that that's going to be hard to kind of remedy, because obviously you're seeing Goku's legs on this figure, right? And it's not obviously pants covering it up, where it'd be a lot more easy to kind of make a flush sort of like place where the, you know, couplings meet, so then you can articulate the figure. But you would think that they would have wanted to upgrade the body in that time, right? Especially if they were going to make this a convention exclusive, because to me this quite literally looks like the same body, even down to like the way that the arms are connected to the figure, which is a little bit worrying, because they've even updated articulation in the arms a lot, you know, not just how the legs look and whatnot on SH Figuarts figures over time. So I'm a little bit conflicted on this. I know a lot of people are going to be very excited for this guy, because obviously this is the first time that this figure has gotten basically like a re-release in recent time. Because obviously, right, since this thing came out 2015, 2016, and there has not been a re-release since then. And of course, new collectors haven't been able to get their hands on this. I believe that this guy is also just super expensive in general nowadays if you're trying to get him on the secondhand market. So at least there will be another version floating around on there. I am kind of hoping that, just like, who wrote this article? It's, oh, Shinra, of course. That makes sense, because usually he's the one writing these articles. For this, right, a lot of the time when they do convention exclusive figures, let me actually go to Premium Bandai for you. When they do this sort of thing, right, what they usually do is they will put the figures, at least in recent time, this is kind of what they've done. When they have a convention exclusive, they will have it available at the convention, right? So you can only purchase it there. And then, later on, like a couple days or the last day of the convention, what have you, right? You just kind of got to keep your eyes peeled for when they post it. They will post these convention exclusives over here on the Premium Bandai website, right? You can see here there was the Super Saiyan 2 Goku that was obviously a convention exclusive, right? They had him that you could purchase online. Super Saiyan God Goku, right? The exclusive event color edition, right? Here is the SSBK figure that I was just talking about, right? With the sort of translucent hairstyle again. This guy also a convention exclusive, and as you can see, right, they basically just put it up on Premium Bandai afterwards. So hopefully that's what they do with Super Saiyan Goku, so then he can be available to more people, because that would be nice. You can kind of see here, funny enough, they charged 50 for Goku, and then 60 for SSVK, and then 70 for Super Saiyan 2. It went up as time went on, but nonetheless, hopefully they end up putting this guy up on Premium Bandai, and he's not just a convention exclusive. I can only hope, right? Moving on from our boy Super Saiyan Goku there. I know we talked about him for a long time, but I just kind of felt like it was important to talk about. We actually have some more SH Figuarts stuff. This was a pretty cool announcement that I was honestly pretty shocked to see. A SH Figuarts Goku effect parts set, which is really, really cool. Essentially, the whole idea behind this is it is a bunch of different effect pieces that you can attach to the SH Figuarts Saiyan Raised on Earth Goku. And I'm sure that you can probably attach this to other SH figure arts too. Like, I'm sure that the way that this couples onto the figure, right, it's not really just limited to Goku. Like, you can see it's just a little, like, plastic ring that attaches to the figure. And, like, here it looks like it's a little clamp that's basically, like, attached to his arm. I'm sure that this will work for basically all SH figure arts figures, right? I don't even think that, you know, it necessarily has to be for Goku. It's just they're advertising it that way because, as you can see, in this little pack, they include a swooping hairpiece that was obviously not included in the original Goku, right? This is obviously a head from the original one, but if we look here, right, here is what the head actually looks like on Goku, which is pretty cool. And I definitely like this a lot because I feel like SH Figure Arts has never really done something like this before. I know that Figure Rise Standard, the model kit company, they have done something like this in the past because, funny enough, I bought it, and it's essentially like a model kit of different effect pieces, and you can use it for their figures or realistically just any figure. But this is cool. I actually really like this. Definitely like this concept. I think it's really interesting. Let's actually take a look at the details here. So the release date is in July, so probably August or September here in the US. Will cost about $35, as you can see on Big Bad Toy Store. They have it listed for $38. Son Goku Effect Part says now available at SH Figure Arts as part of the second optional set following the Son Goku belly set. That's right, that was the food set, if you guys remember that, where they had that little background that you could set up, and then they had Goku with a face where he was like eating noodles or whatever. Optional set to play with and recreate scenes from the play is now available at SH Figures. Obviously, this is a little bootleg Google Translate. Not only effects parts for arms and legs, but also air bullet effects are included. In addition, the replacement head that can be used with separately sold SH Figure Arts Son Goku, a Saiyan raised on Earth, further expands the scope of play. I don't know why they're necessarily like measuring the kick effect parts, but I mean, I guess it's good to know. As you can see here, it's 140 millimeters for that. Kick effect parts left and right, 2 types each. Punch effect parts left and right, 2 types each. Parts for mounting punch and kick effect parts, 8. 2 types of air bullet effects, parts for attaching air bullet effects, and obviously the Saiyan raised on Earth Goku sold separately, but you get a extra head piece. And obviously we saw these images already. And it does look like what they're doing here, right? It looks like that for the actual head, it comes with this gritting teeth face. He's gritting his teeth there, right? Yeah, it's a little hard to see because the image is kind of small. But what it looks like is that they actually took the face from another Saiyan raised on Earth Goku face, right? For like this one, where let's actually look at it a little bit bigger image, right? Where he is punching, right? Because obviously the gritting teeth face that comes with it, which is this one, right? That one obviously is attached to this head, but obviously you can add the heads from the regular one onto this hairpiece, which is really cool. So then you could get some different expressions, obviously, you know, with still having kind of the wavy hair at play, which is awesome. And I think this is really neat, right? This would be really cool for people who take a lot of pictures of their figures. Obviously, you know, I'm sure that somebody like that would love this sort of thing. And I mean, too, if you just want to display your Goku really cool on the shelf, especially if you have a stand for the figure, this would work really well for you. Obviously, then you could get some dynamic poses and maybe even some more cool setups with your figures fighting on the shelf. And again, I'm sure that this will work for other figures, right? I'm sure it's not just limited to Goku. I mean, again, looking at this, right, it's literally just these like rings that attach to the character's foot. I think as long as it's just like a standard body, right, like characters that have a similar body type to Goku, it'll probably work on them. So pretty cool. Definitely excited to see more of that. And we do have something actually really awesome that we got announced here. I'm sure that we will probably see a little bit more information about it later, but a brand new Ichiban Kuji set has been announced. The Ichiban Kuji Battle on Planet Namek has been shown off, as you can see here. The Ichiban Kuji announced their July release with the theme of Battle on Planet Namek. Although there are no characters from Namek, could you imagine? Although there are characters from Namek, it seems that most of the prizes are either Team Goku or Frieza, no Vegeta or Piccolo or any other Namekians, which I agree is kind of a little bit weird. But we did already get the Ginyu Force in a previous Ichiban Kuji, as well as Dodoria and the Lizard guy. What? I think it means Zarbon. Name isn't coming to mind as I type this. I'm pretty sure I think he meant Zarbon. But where is Vegeta or Piccolo, who are in the final fight against Frieza? The prize A and the last one prize feature the famous scene as Goku and Final Form Frieza stare each other down. The other pics below, right, and then of course they'll update the site once there are pre-orders available. So, as you can see here, right, for our pictures, for our prize A, we have Goku and Frieza staring each other down. And yes, you did hear me right, prize A, you are going to be getting both of these figures in one box, which is awesome. They do this occasionally, right? They did this, funny enough, for the Tournament of Power Goku and Frieza, where, you know, they're like charging forward in the attack against Jiren. And they actually had both Goku and Frieza in there working together, so it's kind of funny that this other Ichiban Kuji figure obviously has them staring each other down. But obviously this is a super iconic scene, and I believe in recent time there has not been a figure released of this, so this is really, really cool to see, honestly. And for the last prize version, so I actually didn't realize that yoinked our page. I thought I opened that in a new tab, my bad. With this, right, you can see that the last one prize version of this is actually just a alternate color, where the difference being, obviously Goku's difference is a little bit more obvious, with of course the gi, right, being a little bit more of the brighter orange, right. I think these colors are a little bit more like anime-esque, right, with the prize A, and these colors are a little bit more of that, you know, iconic manga coloration of him. They do this a lot of the time for Goku figures, right? Well, they're kind of released two different color palettes of sort of the manga and the anime version of it. But for Frieza, he actually does have a little bit of small difference. You can see there is a little bit of shine on Frieza's shoulders, and as well as just a little bit of purple parts. I'm sure it's also on the top of his head, but obviously from this angle it's just hard to see. Because you can see here, it's a little bit of a different color, right? It's not a big difference, to be honest with you. Like, it's really, really a small difference. But there is definitely a little bit of a different shading. And obviously, the hair kind of looks a little bit weird when it changes here in his body. Because, you know, again, it's from a different angle and whatever. So, you know, keep that in mind. Obviously, that's why this looks a little bit weird when it changes. But it's just the angle that they're taking the picture at. Nonetheless, though, I talked about this in the past. And I really, really like it when they do alternate colors for the last one prize, because not only does it end up making the last one prize a little bit cheaper, but it's also not another figure that people need to collect, right? It's just like, okay, if you get the other color, then cool. If not, obviously, I'm sure that most people can probably settle for the regular version. I definitely prefer this color scheme for Goku's orange, right? I mean, I think, you know, just this version of the orange jumpsuit just appeals to me more. Not that I dislike this one. I have plenty of figures with this too. If I can get my hands on this one, probably will cop it, but considering that it'll probably be more than this one, I may just go with the regular one. As well, for our other figures, we have Krillin. Excuse me, I'm hiccuping apparently. Take a drink of my smoothie here, excuse me. For prize B, we have Krillin, of course, in the Saiyan armor, right? This is really cool. I will say Krillin's frown seems a little bit big. It looks a little bit goofy, if I do say so myself. The figure itself looks really, really good. He looks very short and stubby, but this is appropriate for Krillin, especially during this time period. I feel like this really captures Krillin's likeness pretty well, but that frown is like pretty deep. I don't know. And then for the prize C, we do have Gohan here. Also very, very short, also very stocky, and I feel like fits for this time period. I love the bowl cut as well. I think they did a great job with that too. It looks very, very Gohan-esque of this era, right? I think it looks pretty good. And then, what's interesting for the prize D and the prize E, we actually have second form Frieza. Obviously, pretty iconic poses for both of these that will be here. Second form Frieza does look really, really good. Obviously, this will be a really cool way to represent all of Frieza's forms if you can get all of these different Ichiban Kuji figures, because obviously then you could line them all up, right? Maybe even pop a golden Frieza at the end there. And then, of course, right, third form Frieza also being an iconic pose for him. Obviously, it's a little bit more basic because, you know, he's not in this form for, I believe, at least as far as I remember. I don't know. I haven't watched the Namek saga in a little while, but I believe this form was probably there for the least amount of time, right? Like, first form and second form Frieza and then final form Frieza were there for quite a long time. So these guys look good. I'm looking forward to this set. It's always very refreshing seeing some Z stuff rather than, you know, getting the same type of Goku figures over and over. Like, this is the type of Goku stuff I would definitely rather be getting, rather than just the same thing over and over and over. And obviously getting more unique characters, right? I feel like we don't have these Frieza forms, maybe besides Final Form Frieza, obviously, like, represented that much. And obviously Gohan and Krillin, especially from this time period, don't really have too many figures of this. Funny enough, this set does actually have, like, every single figure except for the last one prize that released for the Ichiban Kuji Namek set. But obviously that's just, or Ichiban Kuji, I'm sorry, the SH Figure Arts Namek shenanigans that they were doing over the last year or two, right? Where they were releasing all of the different characters of the Z Fighters and then Frieza's different forms and the Guinea Force and whatnot. It's kind of funny that they just released an Ichiban Kuji set with like half the stuff they released from that. But obviously if you collect SH Figure Arts or, you know, Ichiban Kuji, you know, you gotta take your pick, or get both, I guess. But nonetheless, very, very cool. I am definitely excited for that set. Besides that, we did have the information for the SH Figure Arts Orange Piccolo go up. We did obviously do an entire video on this guy right here. I recommend checking this video out if you want my complete thoughts and all of the details on the SH Figure Arts Orange Piccolo, because I kind of went into depth on if he is worth $85 in this video, talking about how the pre-orders work and all of that good stuff. He is still available to cop on Premium Bandai. The pre-orders opened on the 2nd, and he will be shipping out in February of this year. Obviously, again, I know that $85 is kind of a lot to ask for this figure, but again, it's sort of up to you. I do think that the face sculpts look absolutely fantastic for him. It does come with an additional piece for Gohan being just the Kamehameha this time around. And obviously, you know, he's going to display well with the boy Gohan Beast. And the other cool thing about this figure is, despite the fact that obviously he's bigger than other SH Figure Arts figures, again, if you did... Oh, they don't have it on this page? What are you doing, Bandai? Alright, well, either way, if you pre-ordered the SH Figure Arts Gohan Beast, which, by the way, he's still available to pre-order if you do want to cop him. Will this take me right to the page? Perfect. If you did pre-order Gohan Beast within the time frame, right, you do get the free shipping. If it was from the 2nd to the 28th that you got Gohan Beast, you get a free shipping coupon for Orange Piccolo. If not, though, you just have to pay the $10 shipping for him. But that is up to you to decide if you think that he's worth it. Granted, of course, he is quite a bit bigger than your normal SH Figure Arts figure. I mean, you know, look at him even compared to Gohan Beast, right? I mean, obviously Gohan has all this extra hair that kind of gives him a little bit of length, but even so, not only is Piccolo taller than him, but look at, like, his hairline compared to where he lines up at Piccolo, right? Obviously, this is quite the big SH Figure Arts figure, but he is available for pre-order right now if you do want to go and cop the boy. We do have some pre-orders up on Big Bad Toy Store for the Dragon Star stuff. We talked about this a little bit ago in terms of these figures actually releasing, but if you would like to cop the superhero Vegeta, right, obviously in the style of the movie, the superhero Gamma 2, right, or the is this just regular Dragon Stars? Oh, it is. I swear that this was the giant one. Huh. Alright, well, I guess this is just the Dragon Stars one. That's why I paused for a second. I was like, wait a minute. Is this a wrong figure that I'm thinking of? I was thinking of the Limit Breaker Gohan. If you'd like to cop any of these guys, they are available here for about $23 on Big Bad Toy Store. Or, I know for a fact that when it comes to these Dragon Stars figures, these guys typically appear on store shelves within a couple of weeks of their release. So chances are, you could probably go into your local Target or GameStop and actually just find these, because I know I find these in there like literally all the time. Definitely not a bad option if you don't want to pay these absorbent amounts of money for the SH Figure Arts figures. And even though obviously they definitely don't look as good as the SH Figure Arts figures in terms of like the faces and the actual like quality and anime accuracy and all this stuff. If you're just looking for, you know, an anime Goku, Vegeta, Gohan figure to put on your shelf, right? This is definitely not a bad option, and obviously it is pretty articulated. They have improved the articulation on these figures quite a bit since they originally came out a couple of years ago. So definitely not a bad option. And obviously, if you want to give a figure to your kid, you know, just to play with as like an action figure, this is literally the perfect option, right? I would have loved these as a kid, dude. Anyway, the final thing that we have is for the Dragon Ball Weekly News that happened on the 6th. Oh my gosh, I'm getting lost in the sauce with all my tabs here. They basically just talked about Orange Piccolo releasing on Premium Bandai, and apparently they didn't actually talk about the Goku effects parts, which is interesting. But yeah, Orange Piccolo basically was just the only figure related thing that they talked about. So again, he is available up for pre-order right now. Again, definitely check out those two videos if you want to learn more about those specific topics. When there's been something that I either find personally interesting or something that I feel like is kind of a big deal in terms of figure related stuff that I feel like needs its own video, I've been trying to cover it lately. So definitely go check those videos out. Both of those are pretty interesting ones, especially the Orange Piccolo one, in my opinion. I really enjoyed talking about that figure. But thank you, of course, to DBZFigures.com as usual. Definitely check them out in the description below. Not sponsored or anything. I just really like their website. Anyway, moving on to Baggy's Twitter. Of course, we took a look at the multi-angles for these figures already. By the way, I did kind of decide. I think it'll just be easier to go through Baggy's Twitter and just scroll, and then in post-editing cut out the bits of these figures that, you know, we want, rather than either scrolling through or just opening a million tabs like I have done in the past. So it seems like you guys have been enjoying that format, and I think even though it's a little bit of extra work in the post-production aspect of things, it is a lot easier, I feel like, than opening all the individual tabs like I used to do. So I think that's the way we're going to do it going forward. So hope you guys like this way of doing it, and let's continue. So we do have, in terms of oh boy, this was something that I wanted to share in this video, right? We did have somebody cop the Big Boy Cell. If you guys remember, this particular figure right here, right, came out recently. This is, of course, supposed to be like the thick Cell, I believe, when, you know, he's like about to blow up, right, and then Goku teleports him away. If memory serves, either way, the Big Boy Cell, or no, it's not that, because I think he's second form when that happens. It's when he gets super buff, right? Funny enough, it's the AGL Cell's final transformation, right? Where he's like, I'm losing, I'm actually losing. Anyway, regardless though, people were kind of discussing the quality of this figure, because as you can see, it really does not look that good. Let's actually see what this translation says here. If we pull up the old Google Translate, even if you exchange it for a Toy Town, the chance of it coming back to be beautiful is frankly slim. I used thinner to fix the spotted patterns. Okay, I see. So basically, they cleaned it up a little bit here in this image, and this seems to be how it looked originally, where you can see it's kind of like dirty. But this person also got a copy of the figure, and let's see. This is, why should I care? Why is it so rough? Basically, they're just talking about how yucky this looks. Oh my gosh! Look at the overspray on the paint! These little like black spots are supposed to be in the holes for Cell, not like painted over the, you know, entire green bit there. Wow. That's pretty bad. Not to mention, I feel like his face is just really ugly. Like, I know that this form of Cell is pretty ugly, but I feel like this is not the type of ugly that they're going for, right? It's not the good type of ugly where you go, ew, gross, because that form of Cell looks kind of gross. You go, ew, gross, this looks like a bad figure. And as you can see here, wow, that's awful. I know it's kind of hard to see, not zoomed in, but you can see the paint is already peeling or disintegrating or whatever you would call this, right? You can see that there is these little bits of yellow, which is obviously the under parts of the figure where the paint is peeling away right out of the packaging. You can see even like on Cell's nails, there's some paint that's either splattered or peeling there. You can see how gross this paint job looks, right? This looks like a bootleg figure. So it's crazy to me that this figure is actually an official one. considering that this is the quality. Kind of wild. Yeah, I know. This is what Baggy was pointing out. Top quality statue brand. Yeah, kind of unfortunate that this man met that fate. I feel really bad for this guy, honestly, that his figure ended up looking like that. By the way, we did talk about this a little bit in that video on them reducing the Ichiban show prices, but definitely keep your patience cap on, ladies and gentlemen, because as you can see, it does seem like they have been reducing some of the prices on these Ichiban Kuji figures, right? Some of the websites themselves have actually been reducing it. I'm assuming because they're not selling, because the figures are so overpriced, right? So all of these guys, as you can see, have been on sale at one point or another, whether it be on Amazon or Crunchyroll. You can see even at this point on Crunchyroll, Demon King Piccolo and Mercenary Tower both on sale. So definitely don't let that mentality, the FOMO mentality, try and take you over, where it's like, oh, I need to get this figure as soon as possible, right? Not only does this let Bandai know that we're not going to be paying these ridiculous prices for these Ichiban Kuji figures, right? And obviously the prices should be reduced, but obviously this is better for you, because then you can get this type of stuff at a better price. We have, funny enough, I just wanted to point this out because I thought it was a little bit goofy. As you can see here, right? They used to slap the Dragon Ball Super logo on everything, and now they try and actively avoid it. As you can see, this is the new high-grade set of Golden Frieza. We actually took a look at this in the last figure news video, and as you can see, it has the Dragon Ball Z logo on it, which is kind of funny because obviously Golden Frieza is there, but I mean, you know, I mean, I guess it is mostly Dragon Ball Z figures, right? Because obviously Golden Frieza is really the only one who you would consider like a super figure. But nonetheless, though, still kind of funny that obviously they put that on there. And, oh boy. Oh boy. So, the Kuji finals, looking like your typical Bandai quality nowadays. This is how Kui turned out. He looks lopsided. His head looks like it was punched in on one side. This is, not good, to say the least. If we take a look at his side here, you can see that not only does his arm, right, in terms of the quality, just look like really cheap material, right? Like, it looks like cheap plastic, right, that you would see on like a bootleg PVC figure. You can also see there's just this weird glob of plastic that is present on his arm here. Very, very yucky. You can also see there's some overspray on the yellow paint here too on the inside of his armor. For Zarbon, Zarbon doesn't look too bad, I guess. Zarbon, his cape is bent. Oh my gosh, hi Dodoria. Right, so for Dodoria, you can see that the scouter is not in the right place. It's definitely bent straight out of the packaging, right? You can see it's even kind of coming off of his head a little bit there, right? You can see the gap that this should be like shoved farther in his head and obviously be lining up with his eye a lot more. This almost looks like it's like half off of his face, like it's broken or battle damaged or something like that. But obviously that's just how they're taking it right out of the box. And for Zarbon, I don't really see anything wrong with Zarbon here, to be honest with you. I know Baggy's saying that the cape is bent, but it's just kind of hard to tell from this angle. I think Zarbon's really the only one who kind of came out of this looking half okay, to be honest with you. Hi, Selfinger. But nonetheless, especially for this, right? The fact that they're charging $70 to $100 for the figures in this set, yikes. And this is the other problem with them raising the prices, right? That we talk about all the time on this channel and in this video specifically. It's not just the fact that they're raising the prices for the same product. Their quality is getting worse. Stuff like this, right? Such a shame to see, especially considering where Ichiban Kuji was a few years ago. Also, apparently the whiskers that Kui has have no protection in the box, which is not good because obviously that means that you could probably get those broken off, you know, if you don't happen to get a good one, which is really unfortunate. This was actually an interesting piece of knowledge that I was not aware of personally, so I thought it would be good to share with all of you. In case it wasn't common knowledge, Mega House, Plex, etc. are all Bandai Namco owned companies, and of course this is why Baggy just refers to all of them as Bandai. They've now added their logo to releases, so it should be easier to spot, but basically any company that makes Dragon Ball figures is a Bandai company. So we've talked about Plex in the past a lot, right? They are the sort of quote-unquote hype beast company, as I kind of like to refer them as. They always have really, really expensive figures, really overpriced for quality that is seemingly not there, or even less than sometimes Ichiban Kuji and Bam Presto figures, but because they're sort of advertised as this like kind of hype beast sort of brand, you know, people with a lot of money just tend to buy them. And that makes sense, honestly, for why sometimes, you know, these figures are so overpriced and the quality doesn't seem that good, because it's good old Bandai that's behind them, right? Plex is the company who also, I believe, makes the Gigantic series at this point, too. And Mega House, I'm sure you've heard of before. Mega House, I know, makes, I believe, the capsule figures in Japan. As you can see here, Baggy's just using a example from the Spy Family one right there, and then obviously Ichiban Kuji and Bam Presto. So very interesting. I actually didn't know that Plex and Mega House were owned by Bandai. That is very good to know. That kind of doesn't surprise me about Plex, but it is kind of funny because that is almost more egregious than what they're doing with the Ichiban Kuji stuff, but I think it's just because it's not something that most people would buy, that people just don't care as much. So kind of funny, honestly. We have another figure to take a look at. Obviously, this is one of the Dragon Archives figures from the recently released Ichiban Kuji set, where we have, of course, second form Frieza going real big here. Obviously, this is supposed to be, I believe this is either mid-transformation or he's blowing up or something. I don't remember the context of this, but the reason why he looks so thick is because that's how it looks from the scene that it's taken from. However, the quality on this particular minifigure is not necessarily that great. Wow, funny face. I like that that's in the translation. You can just see that the paint apps on the face are not that great. This literally looks like a McDonald's toy, right? Like, that's kind of what the quality of this paint job sort of reminds me of. Or like a really old figure that you'd find at like a bin in a garage sale or something like that. Not a minifigure in an Ichiban Kuji set. You can see the paint apps are so weak on the shoulders here, right? And even just the overall quality in the paint job just looks very messy. The pink paint looks very, very cheap. You can see there's some overspray on the tail here, right? Obviously, the horns are not supposed to be wilting because, of course, Frieza's horns stick straight out. That's how Frieza's body works. Yeah, for a figure that's supposed to be a minifigure in an Ichiban Kuji set, quality is not up to snuff whatsoever on this guy. So I'm kind of unfortunate too, because I know with these Dragon Archives figures, they tend to have some scenes that they probably wouldn't make in a normal figure. So it's a little unfortunate that the quality on these ends up looking kind of stinky. Here's another example of this from another recent minifigure. As you can see, even the person who purchased this figure in Japan is talking about the eyes being misaligned. Obviously, Frieza's not supposed to be looking like this, right? It's supposed to be, you know, the same amount of eye on both sides of his eyes. I guess you would say the pupils is what is the part that's misaligned here. Obviously, there is some really disgusting shenanigans going on with the paint job here too. As you can see, right, these weird like chunks that are here on the side of Frieza's head. Obviously, you can see there's little black splatters all over this, and there's even some little bit of stuff that's coming off of the red there. You can even see on Frieza's pod too, the paint job on there is very, very messy. Not up to snuff with the quality we should be expecting from these figures. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we have the July high-quality production images. We have been waiting for these for quite some time now. Obviously, there are 4 super hype figures in here that I know people have been looking forward to. First of all, we have our End of Z Goku. And of course, this is the figure that is going to be matching up with UUB here. As you can see, obviously, these guys are going to be duking it out. We've had a couple of figure sets in this particular line so far, with these characters kind of fighting each other, which is pretty cool. And obviously, we do not get End of Z Goku figures basically ever. The only time I can remember in recent history we got one was the very well-renowned Bam Presto World Figure Coliseum one, which I still would love to get. That's kind of like the grail of my collection, that I would do anything to get that figure, honestly. But it's really cool to see us getting a new one, and nonetheless, one that looks pretty good. As well, of course, UUB himself also obviously looks really good. He's very short and stubby, but I think that works because obviously UUB in this particular section of the story, right? I mean, he's still just a kid, right? He's very short. And so it makes sense that he would kind of have this build, right? And it definitely looks good, right? I think it looks just like UUB. I really like the look of this figure. He definitely looks pretty good. We'll see more images of him coming up here too. And you know I love my Gohan Beast, baby. Gohan Beast is getting a new figure, which is really cool. As you can see here, this is the BOS one, the Blood of Saiyans one. A fantastic looking figure, if I do say so myself. Obviously, the whole gimmick with the BOS line is that they have the shiny hair, which you can see is present on the boy Gohan Beast here. And nonetheless, he is doing the Makanko Sapo, which is awesome. Obviously, we talked about with the Ichiban Kuji figure. I don't know what I was going to say there. The Ichiban Kuji figure version of this. I think I just kind of stuttered my words there. The regular one, right? Obviously, for that set, unfortunately, actually, let's go back to myfigurecollection.net. And then we can actually show you what I'm talking about here. For the Ichiban Kuji version of this guy, right, we obviously saw that for the Prize A version of him, unfortunately, right, for that particular one, the Prize A version of Gohan has his hand open, not actually doing the special beam cannon pose, whereas the last one version from this Ichiban Kuji set is doing the obviously iconic pose from the movie, right? And I know obviously a lot of people were kind of disappointed by this because of course they want him to be doing the thing that he does in the movie. And obviously the last one prize is not only not getting imported here in the States, but if you want it, you're going to have to pay a little bit of extra money for it. So this figure, the BOS one, is going to be a fantastic alternative for those who don't want to pay not only the ridiculous price tag that this guy is boasting. Obviously, if you import him, it might be a little bit different, but if we go back and actually take a look at Big Bad Toy Store, you can see that the Ichiban Kuji one is being sold for 60 bucks retail, whereas I didn't even realize they had them already up listed, but the Blood of Saiyans one is only going to be $27 retail. Obviously, these prize figures have gone up themselves in recent time. They used to be $20, then they were $25, now they've seemingly become $27. But nonetheless, obviously, this is a way cheaper alternative to buying the Ichiban Kuji one, right? Obviously, with this figure, paying $27 rather than $60, you're literally paying half the price, right? And granted, the other thing to keep in mind is this guy is going to be about 8 inches. You can see 7.87 there. And this guy is going to be 5.1. He is smaller by 2 inches, but does $30 really justify 2 more inches? I guess that's kind of your call to make. Obviously, depends on which one you like the sculpt of more, of course, right? If you prefer the Ichiban Kuji one and you're willing to pay more for it, or if you like the Blood of Saiyans one. I will say, at first when I saw the face for this figure, I was kind of like not really a fan of it, but now that I'm seeing it from this angle specifically, I don't know why, I feel like this looks a lot better. I think it's just the particular straight on angle that they took, and it's also because his head is like being ducked down into his neck like that, right? I think that also just kind of doesn't help the figure being photographed like that, right? But I think this works really, really well, especially for this angle. And I was going to say, too, it kind of looks like his hair is a little bit short here. Well, I mean, it's definitely not short by any stretch of the imagination, but it kind of almost looks more like Super Saiyan 2 length. But if we take a look here, you can see it looks really long. And then if we get this side angle, oh, mama, that boy is long. So obviously, it's just because it's being taken from the straight on angle. And also, that goes to show how much just taking a figure's picture from one angle can really change your perception of how it looks, right? Obviously, these multi-angles are always very helpful in determining if you like a figure or not, because obviously, that hair is big. And not to mention the bang is very long and super straight. Very, very cool. Definitely like the figure quite a bit. I will definitely be copping this guy. Obviously, this is the little promotional poster that they got for him. This looks really, really good, actually. I really like the way he looks. For some reason, I feel like this looks better than this, and this is like the same angle. I don't know if it's something to do with like the way that they have the eyes have a little bit more shadow on it. I don't know, something. But nonetheless, this looks fantastic. So definitely going to look forward to this guy. And we also have Orange Piccolo. Obviously, this is the DXF one. We have had a DXF version now of, I mean, some of them aren't technically released yet, but announced, right? We've had a DXF version of Gohan, right, in Ultimate. We've had one in Super Saiyan. We've had now Gohan Beast, right, as well. We saw that figure a little while ago. We have Piccolo, right, the base form one. We have the Awakening form, right, Piccolo, as we like to call him. Not because it's a bad form, but just because it's literally that color. And now we have Orange Piccolo, which is really, really cool. Again, this is also a huge W because the only big the only big orange Piccolo figure that we had before was this guy. Of course, the prize B from the same set as Gohan with the Ichiban Show one, right? And for this guy as well, if we go back here, we can see that Orange Piccolo himself is $85, right, for this guy. Obviously, he is 10.63 inches tall, but I believe that at least on Big Bad Toy Store, they should have Orange Piccolo. They should have the pre-order up for him as well. Yup, considering that they had the one for Gohan. And as you can see, he is also going to be $27 retail, which is really, really cool. I will say, obviously, this figure is going to be a lot smaller. Before we look at the multi-angles, yeah, 7.1 inches tall, right? Which is still pretty tall, especially for a DXF figure, because the DXF line tends to run a little bit smaller in scale. So, honestly, it's pretty decent size. Obviously, he is about 3.5, right? Yeah, basically 3.5 inches shorter than the Ichiban Kuji one, and obviously a lot less thick. But here's the multi-angles. Obviously, the colors are a little bit muted here, right? So keep that in mind. It's not going to look this, like, dull on the actual figure. But, I mean, it's pretty much what you expect. And as you can see on the back, they do have printed on there the, of course, Tree of Life symbol that is on the back of Orange Piccolo after he transforms, which is really, really cool. The back of his arms do look kind of bare, but I think that's how they look normally. Ooh, that's a really cool angle. I'm pretty sure that's how they look. I think. Let's look on the Ichiban Kuji one. Yeah, the back of his arms are just orange like that. I guess it's just a little bit weird because it's interesting. The sculpt for this guy is definitely a lot more simplistic than the Ichiban Kuji run. Obviously, the Ichiban Kuji figures are, of course, you know, they tend to be a little bit more detailed in their sculpts. So it makes sense that obviously it would seem like the, you know, creases and the lines and the detail in him are a little bit more, you know, like deeper ingrained in the figure rather than this one looking just a little bit more simplistic. I don't think this is bad necessarily, right? I think it's just a different style, I guess is the way to put it, right? It's just a different way to sculpt, right? And I don't think either one is necessarily better than the other. It's just kind of whatever you prefer. Or like me and you like both. Nonetheless, though, again, very, very excited for this guy. Obviously, if you've been collecting the DXF figures that we've been talking about up until this point, this is definitely a must-have, I would say, especially if you're going to get the Gohan Beast. And again, a much, much cheaper alternative to the Ichiban Kuji variant of this guy. So definitely really, really excited for this guy for sure. Also, no, we usually don't cover Chainsaw Man stuff on this, but I just have to say, bro, holy cow, this is such a good figure, bro. I don't collect any Chainsaw Man stuff, even though I watched the anime, but by golly, I gotta get that one. Really, really cool. This is also something kind of interesting. As you can see here with our boy BOS Gohan, right? They actually didn't reuse the leg sculpt from the Super Saiyan BOS Gohan that we took a look at in a last video that we did, right? You can see that the sculpt, it's a little bit hard to tell because obviously looking at this, it's like, what am I actually looking at here? But you can see that the sculpt on the pants is actually a little bit different, right? From this knee right here, you can see that obviously this line kind of moves down to the right, whereas on this side, right, it obviously moves down this way. And obviously for this side, right, you can see that the leggings on the pants are not exactly the same in terms of the lineage, right? The lines are a lot closer together here, whereas they're a little bit more spread out here. So kind of funny that they didn't reuse anything for this guy when they could have easily done so for this figure, right? I'm definitely not mad about it because obviously I always prefer whenever they don't reuse stuff because it makes the figure look a lot nicer. But I just think it's funny that this is the one, like, perfect opportunity that they had, and frankly, probably nobody would have noticed, because, I mean, like, it's still the same kind of leg spread pose, but lo and behold, they cared. So, you love to see it, is really the bottom line on that one. You actually love to see it. Regarding the figures that will be coming out in August, obviously, those will be right after the ones that we just took a look at. Of course, we have seen this sort of schedule on the calendar for a little bit. The Dragon Ball Super Superhero History Box, Volume 7. We are also going to be getting another Blood of Saiyans figure. The special, I believe that's 15, right? If I can get my Roman numerals around. And we're also going to be getting the GX Materia Master Roshi, which I know a lot of people are really looking forward to. And the Superhero DXF Trunks, which is really, really cool. Obviously, it's awesome that we're going to be getting some of those superhero designs in figure form. I really, really like that. Definitely going to be getting a Trunks and Goten from that set for sure. As well, the little bit of the note here from the schedule is that the August production images should drop in about 2 weeks. Again, this tweet was made on February 27th, so that will actually be a week from the day that I'm recording this video. So probably a day before the next week that this video would be uploaded. That was a terrible way to put it. Anyway, so the 13th basically is kind of about the date that should be when these figures will be shown off. And it's going to be interesting to see what the Dragon Ball Z Blood of Saiyans is, because we actually have no idea on what that figure is going to be. And Trunks hasn't gotten one yet for Blood of Saiyans, at least as far as Baggy can remember. And to my knowledge, I don't think Trunks has gotten a Blood of Saiyans figure, at least as far as I can remember. I'm trying to rack my brain if there's like a Dragon Ball Super one, but this is Z Trunks. At least that's what it says on the calendar. So but to be fair, considering they've been slapping the Z logo on a bunch of super stuff lately, it wouldn't surprise me if it's like actually a super one, right? But nonetheless, definitely looking forward to all of these figures and seeing what they look like for sure. Here we have a quick picture of UUB and Goku, which is pretty cool. Obviously, this is how these figures are going to be kind of matching up in terms of the kick and the block. It is a little bit unfortunate, I will say, that obviously it's not based off of this piece of art where it's kind of like their knees colliding together, right? That would have been really, really cool. But nonetheless, I mean, this is still pretty neat, if I do say so myself. And as you can see, apparently this person actually notes here that it looks to be based off of this specific piece of art from this old card-ass card. So that's pretty cool. Definitely pretty neat. Obviously, Goku's expression is a little bit different in this than it is in the final version of this. Where did the image go? Hello? Is it up here? There we go. Sorry, I accidentally mixed up where it was. I thought it was before Gohan Beast. Nonetheless, though, here is UUB by himself, and then, of course, you can see some multi-angles. This looks good. I really, really like the way that he's sculpted, right? I think the figure overall just looks really, really nice. And here's another angle of this, obviously, from Goku's behind now, rather than from behind UUB for this particular image. And this is cool. The foot actually wraps around Goku's arm very, very nicely. So I think these two will actually collide pretty well on the shelf. Which is pretty nice, honestly. I definitely really, really like this. I think these two match up fantastic. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how these turned out, honestly. It's really nice that they're even just like acknowledging UUB, right? It's very, very cool to see. We do have, by the way, just a quick comparison of the side-by-side. So obviously, for the left one, right, this is the DXF Gohan Beast that we were talking about, right? This will be the figure that technically you would pair with the DXF Orange Piccolo that we were just talking about. And obviously, you now have even more options for Gohan Beast figures. We have the SH Figuarts one. We have the Ichiban Kuji one that we were just talking about here, right? Sorry, that's Orange Piccolo that we were just talking about here, right? You have these two now as well, the DXF one and the BOS one. It's kind of up to you what you want to pick. Obviously, these two are going to be the most affordable, coming around $27 a pop, right? If you want the more basic standing up pose, right? Or if you want the Makanko Sapo pose, both of these are good. And both of these are pretty much scenes from the movie, right? Like when Gohan first transforms, that's basically what the DXF one is. And obviously the actual Makanko Sapo is, of course, the BOS one. So kind of whatever you prefer, honestly. I will probably get both. I kind of have a feeling the Gohan Beast is going to turn into the same thing with Gogeta for me, where when Gogeta first released the Super Saiyan Blue version, and Broly for that matter, I bought like 5 or 6 figures of each, and I ended up with way too many figures of that particular form, because I'm just way too excited for this guy, and I'm just going to probably get everything they come out with. I mean, I honestly, like, have cut back a ton on buying Dragon Ball figures. I really have not bought a lot, especially compared to how I have in the past. Granted, my collection is pretty big now, so I really only buy characters that I don't have, or obviously something that's like new to the franchise. But I mean, bro, I'm so excited for this figure, dude. I literally can't wait to get one of these guys in my hands. I'm looking forward to getting the first Gohan Beast figure in my collection so much. So yeah, definitely let me know which one you guys are going to be picking up in the comment section below. I'll be curious to hear what you think. I think they're both good for different reasons, right? Obviously, the metallic hair is definitely one reason to cop the BOS one. And obviously, the look of them is a little bit different. Gohan's gi is a little bit more blue, I think, to kind of be more in line with how the lighting looked in that scene for the DXF one. But both of them look really good, and I think they both have things that make them very special. And I gotta say, with both of them, right, it's kind of hard to see from these particular angles, but their hair is huge on both of them, which is awesome, because obviously that's very accurate to the source material, so you'll have to see it. Quick store order numbers for Geo. As you can see, the matchmakers Goku and Vegeta, 28 and 28, and Gohan, 151! Holy cow. Yeah, he obliterated them, and he's not even in Gohan Beast. He's only in Super Saiyan. That is pretty crazy, to say the least. I think that just kind of goes to show you how insane the popularity and hyper on Gohan is right now. Real quick, here's those pictures that we saw on Big Bad Toy Store in just a little bit better quality. I don't know why, but for some reason, whenever a figure is on Big Bad Toy Store, I feel like the picture quality on the site is just like not super great. So here are just the pictures in a little bit better quality for you that are a little bit less pixelated, excuse me. Obviously pause it if you need to. And one other cool thing to note that we actually didn't point out yet is that they did indeed paint Piccolo's nails, which is awesome, because obviously when he goes into Orange Piccolo, Piccolo's nails are black. I mean, they usually are black now that I think about it, but it's just cool to see that they painted the detail, because obviously knowing Bandai's quality control nowadays, this could definitely be something that they just don't do. So it's cool to see. This was also something interesting that I definitely wanted to note here too. Reminder that there will/should be, assuming Dragon Stars Battle Pack Piccolo vs. Gamma 2 is Orange Piccolo, a cost-effective static and articulated figures of Orange and Gohan Beast to come. Obviously, we talked about that, of course, from these guys. These are going to definitely be the little bit more, I mean, really not little, but more affordable versions of these guys, obviously. And, of course, with the SH Figuarts figures for Orange Piccolo and Gohan Beast, there is going to be Dragon Stars versions of both of these guys. So if you are in the market for articulated figures of both of these guys, and you don't want to pay the high prices for the SH Figuarts one, you can definitely cop the Dragon Stars one when they come along. Obviously, we have not gotten them officially revealed yet. We just know that they're coming from the information that we've gotten. But of course, when they eventually get revealed, I'll be covering it in a news video, I'm sure. And again, they probably won't be as high quality as the SH Figuarts, but I mean, bro, $85 for Piccolo, actually $95 and more considering the tax and the shipping if you didn't get the free shipping coupon. Same thing with Gohan, it'll be like $65 is normal price with the $10 shipping. Unless you got it for free, it'll be like $75 and then more tax. Obviously, with the Dragon Stars one, they range around the $20 mark a piece. Probably Orange Piccolo will be a little bit more because he's bigger, so definitely will be saving a ton if you do want to go the Dragon Stars route, but again, that just won't be as high quality, but definitely something to look forward to nonetheless. And I am curious to see how they do the Dragon Stars versions of these characters for sure. We do have all of the heights for the July Dragon Ball figures. Obviously, we already took a look at Piccolo and Gohan, but Goku is going to be 13 centimeters and UUB is going to be 8. Funny enough, Goku and Gohan are the same exact size. Obviously, keep in mind, right, these figures aren't necessarily like that small. It's kind of weird to say that, but of course, because they're, you know, a little bit more compressed, right? And obviously they're not standing up straight. It makes sense why these figures are a little bit more small. I mean, UUB would still be pretty small regardless, because I mean, you know, especially in this time period that he's taken from here, you know, I mean, he's just a small character. But obviously, with Gohan squatting down, you know, of course, that makes sense that he's going to be that short. When probably if he was standing up, he may actually end up being as tall as a DXF Orange Piccolo, which is kind of funny to think about. But nonetheless, there is one more tweet that we have here. Yeah, so this is pretty cool. As you can see here, it's very nice to see that these Ichiban Kuji figures for the Namek ones that we took a look at in the very beginning of this video, they didn't actually reuse here, which is awesome to see. As you can see, Goku's pants are a little bit different, right? There's this part where it kind of separates here and then goes down into his pants, and you can see that it is just, you know, orange, and there is no like way that that goes in there, right? You can basically just see that the sculpt on the pants is different. Bless me, holy cow, that sneeze hurt. Anyway, we have the pants. Again, obviously just kind of a more detailed look at that. And Gohan, obviously, we did get this Ichiban Kuji Gohan a little while ago. I believe this was in the last prize version, where of course this is the purple gi that Gohan dons. As you can see, it is not reused, right? Obviously the body is not reused, the face is not reused, and the hair sculpt is actually a little bit different. He has a little bit less of a bowl cut, which is kind of funny, but, you know, still the bowl cut rock in it, but you can tell that the hair is different on these. So that is really cool to see that they're actually making these a little bit different. We have some final pictures of the BOS Special Gohan here. Unfortunately, the lighting is kind of awful. I know that this probably looks good in the case because the whole point is they have kind of like a light shining on the figure's face because it's like in the little cabinet where you can obviously like, you know, see the figure on display. So try not to mind Gohan's, you know, complexion looking a little bit like kind of off, especially from how the figure is supposed to be, right? Definitely don't mind that. But obviously in terms of the sculpt, that is kind of the main thing that we're taking a look at here. You can see that the face actually looks pretty good. I feel like looking at this close up, the face sculpt actually looks way better than what I originally was kind of thinking that it did when we were seeing those faraway pictures from the prize fair. So that is good to see. I think this guy actually does look pretty good. I don't know if I'm going to cop this guy. I don't really need him per se, right? I mean, I would much rather get this, I guess, than another Super Saiyan Gohan, right? In terms of like an adult one, I guess, because obviously you just want the superhero stuff right now, or at least I know I do. But of course, with all the Gohan Beasts coming up, and of course, you know, having Ultimate Gohan and SH Figuarts and the DXF one already, I don't really think I need Super Saiyan 1. I do want one from the movie, because obviously that would be pretty cool to just get one. So I may cop this guy eventually, but looking at it, he definitely does seem a little bit small. So I don't know. We'll have to see. But nonetheless, I think he does look better than I initially anticipated. And I'm happy to report that this guy does look pretty good. This is, of course, the History Box Bardock. I will say his face does look a little bit weird for sure. This angle also, his body looks very weird. But I think that's because that the camera is tilted. And obviously, you know, he's kind of leaning forward over the rock. I wish they would have taken like a front-on shot of this, right? Rather than this weird sort of like side on, or maybe this is technically the front. I don't know. His face just looks a little bit weird here. Definitely you can see though some of the paint apps on this are not that great. Like look at the armor. That paint is very choppy, very cut up. Right? You can even see there's a little bit of flaking there. Even on the scouter. Ooh, yeah. Maybe I'm rethinking my thoughts on this. The white on this guy looks terribly applied. Holy. Yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate to see, to be honest. I don't think the sculpt overall looks too bad, but man, those paint apps make this feel like a bootleg figure, to be honest with you. Look how bad that is on the scouter. Holy cow. I don't know, something about the way that his mouth is like angled, the way that they kind of cut into it. Look at the back. Look at the paint on the back. This literally looks like a bootleg. That's crazy. That is very, very unfortunate to see, to be honest with you. So we have some factory confirmations for this particular round of figures. Obviously, the BOS and the, I believe this is the Matchmakers, Gohan, or no, Tag Fighters, I'm sorry, Matchmakers is when they're fighting together. The Tag Fighters, right, UUB and NFZ Goku. All of these figures are going to be made in China. And then for our figures that are going to be made in Vietnam, we got all of these guys, including the DXF Orange Piccolo. Now, I think I've said this like almost every single time, right, as of recent. But Vietnam was kind of known in the beginning for the figures not really turning out that good. And then seemingly they kind of turned it around and they have been, you know, like pretty good recently. However, I feel like as of more recent, right, even recently than that, the figures that have kind of come out of Vietnam in terms of the DXF figures have been kind of hit or miss. I've seen a lot of quality control issues with them, right? I did myself get Piccolo and Gohan from this line, and I have not actually done a video on them yet. I have opened them. I'm kind of just like in the middle of doing it. And I definitely think that they look better than I expected. Maybe I just got lucky, but nonetheless, I'm really hoping that Orange Piccolo turns out good. So it's kind of going to be a coin flip whether or not he turns out really nice looking. So I guess we'll have to see on that front. It's also interesting that these two Naruto figures are also going to be Vietnam. I hope those turn out good because I know a lot of people are looking forward to those. We have this stylized image, or I guess you would just say like final image of the Ginyu Force Ichiban Kuji. We took a look at these guys last time with their more close-up detailed looks, and at least from this they look pretty good. Again, with this Ichiban Kuji set, even though it has a couple of quality control issues, I think overall it looks pretty good. I think the problem for me is just the price, right? Obviously we talked about the prices before. They are ridiculous for this set, so I would have definitely considered getting it if not for that fact, because I think it looks pretty good overall. And we do have a little bit of an update. You guys probably remember that we have looked at this thread for a little while where these figures are kind of based off of different pieces of Dragon Ball art. Obviously, the Piccolo figure for the Ichiban Kuji one is based off of Toriyama's drawing of Orange Piccolo, which we have seen a bunch of different times before, and I think that that looks really, really good. Of course, Gohan Beast being based off of the Makanko Sappo, and I mean, I guess this particular piece of art could kind of work for that. Of course, with the Ichiban Kuji figure of Goku and Frieza, you can see here that, of course, it's based off of that iconic image from the manga. And nonetheless, what's really cool is that this is actually a great representation of what I was talking about way earlier in the video, where this is a lot more of the manga colors at play. Not only with the orange of Goku's gi, but you can actually see the way that Frieza's shiny bits are on his body actually match a lot more with the manga version on the last one than they did with the Prize A, which is pretty cool to see. And of course, the iconic pose for the second form Frieza from this shot from the manga makes sense. His hand is a little bit twisted the wrong way, though. I think it should be a little bit more forward, to be honest with you. But I mean, still. And I feel like his hand should also be clutching his knee a little bit more rather than his palm being a little bit more open like that, according to the manga. But those are just nitpicks for sure, right? Nonetheless, still looks pretty good. What to look forward to this week? We should start getting July Ichiban Kuji info. The lots and ratios are very important as they will affect the Ichiban show prices. Best case scenario is everything or most things will be 2. So we will obviously see, and that will kind of lead us to then hopefully get the prices, and hopefully they're cheap. Like, I really like this set. I'm a huge fan of Namek. Obviously, it's very nostalgic for me and a lot of people, and nonetheless, it's just obviously a great section of the Dragon Ball Z story. So I'm really hoping that the prices for these are good, especially this figure. Man, I really like this. I've always wanted a figure of this particular pose, so it's going to be really cool to finally be able to get one. Ah, man, I'm hoping. It'd be cool if they also did a, I think there's a modern version of this with Blue Goku and Golden Frieza. It'd be cool for an upcoming Ichiban Kuji if they did that, like kind of based off of this figure too. That'd be really awesome as well. And I believe the other thing that we have right here is, the Dragon Ball June Arise third form Frieza. This is 29,700 yen. Whoa! Holy cow, this is just about a $300 figure, ladies and gentlemen. Holy moly, dude. This is the Dragon Ball Arise third form Frieza. I will say it does look pretty good. I mean, the shading on him looks pretty nice. The paint job looks pretty nice. But definitely not worth $300, especially considering that this guy's size is going to be around the Ichiban Kuji one, give or take a little bit. Again, Dragon Ball Arise is, I believe, a line that is made by Plex, which we now know from this video is still a Bandai company, but again, it's this sort of high quality, you know, premium, I'm using a lot of air quotes for this, sort of hype beast kind of figure line. And these figures tend to be pretty overpriced when we've seen the quality on these too. With a couple people who have bought these, they tend to not be that great either. I guess no surprise there considering it's a Bandai thing. But this guy does look pretty good, at least in these production images, but 300 bones, bro. Holy. That is quite expensive for this guy, if I do say so myself. Last couple of things that we got. Obviously, the August Bam Presto production image should be revealed in about 2 weeks. As you can see, this tweet is from March 6th. Of course, in terms of Dragon Ball, we have Trunks, of course, in this particular outfit. Of course, the superhero fit, which is really, really cool. And we'll also be getting the Grandista. That would be awesome to get a Grandista Master Roshi. But the GX Materia, which is also very exciting, Master Roshi. It'll be cool to see what specific scene they take from, if they do from this one or another one. It'll be interesting to see what they actually do for the Kamehameha. That will be awesome. Definitely excited to see that. And the final kind of thing that we have here is a little bit of a prediction from Baggy, and I think that this honestly could be true. The July BOS Gohan Beast, I feel, will be Dragon Ball's best chance of hitting 1,000 Game Station orders. It would be the first time in 3 years. BOS is a popular line, Gohan is a popular character, and it's his new form, right? The only thing going up against the big boy is that obviously it's coming out a year after the movie has come out, and obviously the hype has died down a little bit. Of course, if he would have came out like the day that the movie came out, oh my gosh, they would have been cooking with pre-orders for this guy. But nonetheless, obviously it'll be interesting to see this guy's progression through the ranks of figure sales when we finally get to see how well he does. And I believe that is actually everything we have for today. Oh, right. There was one more thing. This was another good sign here. Amazon US has discounted the Imperfect Cell to about $60. Slowly but surely getting there, right? Very, very cool to see. Obviously, this guy's original listed price was $70, which is pretty crazy. Again, another example of these Ichiban Kuji figures being really overpriced. So obviously, seeing the price go down is nice. And even though it is only by $10, obviously, right, that's just a good sign of things to come, because of course, you know, that tells us that, hey, hopefully, not only will these prices, you know, give us some good sales on these figures, but hopefully that will let Bandai know that they kind of need to lower the prices on this type of thing. And that is it for today's Dragon Ball figure news video. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. Definitely let me know what you think of everything that we covered in today's video in the comment section below. Obviously, we went over a ton of stuff. We talked about the SH Figure Arts event exclusive Super Saiyan Goku. We talked about, of course, Gohan, Beast, and Orange Piccolo, which is always so nice whenever I get to talk about them. We talked about the upcoming Battle of Namek Ichiban Kuji set. So I'm definitely looking forward to everything that we got coming up in store for the year. Let me know what figure you would like to cop out of everything in the comment section below. I'm sure that a lot of people are probably going to be getting the BOS Gohan here, as well as probably the DXF Orange Piccolo. I know myself, I'm definitely going to be copying both of those. It's nice as well that we have some alternative options from the Ichiban Kuji figures. Obviously, the Kuji figures being really, really expensive. You know, it's nice to see that obviously with these two, for some of these poses and just these new forms and characters, right? It's really cool to see that we are going to have some cheaper alternatives. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I will catch you guys in the next one. Dokkan Assets out. Peace.